Before we get started, have you gotten my free resource, 10 quick tips to calm the chaos when you're feeling overwhelmed? Go to thesuccess.life/free resource. This ebook has 10 quick strategies you can implement right away to help calm you down and tame the chaos, even in the midst of your challenges. Go to thesuccess.life/free resource. Hello, my friend, and welcome to Press Pause. I'm your host, Janelle Bruland, and I'm here to help you regain control of your life for you. Each week, I will be giving you helpful tips and one thing you can implement immediately to overcome the chaos of life and take back control. I was once an overwhelmed, overcommitted entrepreneur, and I get what it's like to be balancing all of the things between work and home, and I'm here to help you take back control. Let's dive right in. Hello and welcome to Press Pause. When you're feeling overwhelmed or out of control, press pause. Today's tip is going to be about write it out. When you're feeling really overwhelmed, when you find that your mind is swirling with all of the things that you need to do, all of the things that you need to work on, I find it really helps to take a writing break. Just writing down what's on your mind helps you to really be able to bring it down, and rather than having it be this high stress that it's causing for you, just the act of writing brings it down in its intensity. So I like to call this a brain dump. When I have so much that's going through my mind, it makes it hard to even focus on the tasks at hand. The more overwhelmed you are, the more important it is to actually press pause. And in this case, our tip today is to write it out. So let's talk about this brain dump and what it looks like. So if you need to actually schedule an appointment in your calendar, an appointment with yourself, I used to call this coffee time with Janelle, and literally I would have a space in my calendar, an appointment in my calendar of coffee time with Janelle. It was a time for me to have think time. It was a time for me to do this brain dump if my mind was overwhelmed. So you can just take your journal or even a blank notebook and take some time and write down everything that's on the mind. Now make sure that you're in a place where you're not going to be distracted for a little while. You can do this in even 10 minutes in a 10-minute pause. Ideally, give yourself an hour where you can really take a break to get everything out that's on your mind. So ask yourself the questions of, what am I thinking about? Write it down. What am I worrying about? Write it down. What's been waking me up in the middle of the night? Write it down. What are all of those things that I've got to get done this month or this quarter? Write it down. So start making your list of all of the things that are on your mind, all of those things that are pulling your attention. Do you know it's actually taking you away from your focus? When your mind is being distracted while you're working on one project or task, then that really takes time away from your productivity. So you're going to be able to perform better if you get all of this out on paper and then you can organize it. So once you have everything down on the paper, so let's just take the example of all of the things that you have to do that's swirling through your mind that you feel overwhelmed by. Okay, you've written this all down on a piece of paper, all of the things that you have on task for this month or this quarter. Now I'm going to ask you to do some hard work. You need to be realistic. I want you to go back over this list and prioritize the list. If you could only do 3 items on the whole list and you couldn't do anything else, only 3, what would those top 3 items be that you need to focus on? So start there. Take your list, take some time to sit with it, and then organize it of, if you had to take everything off the list but the top 3 things, what would you be left with? Okay? Pause this if you need to take some time to do this, and then press play when you're ready to come back. Okay, you've taken some time to go through this list of all of the responsibilities and things you have to do, and you've narrowed it down to the top 3 things that are most important. So these are the things that you really need to be focusing on. Now, are you focusing instead, or have you been, on a lot of these other little things on the list that may be nagging at you, but they're not as important. They're not as important to move your business forward, move your life forward as those top 3 things. So let's focus on those top 3 items. And what do you need to do to actually move those forward in your life? Do you need to break those down further into some action steps? What do you need to do first? Who do you need to maybe call? What resources do you have? Do you have everything that you need? Do you need to get your team on board? Is there somebody that you need to delegate some of this to? And as you look at these things that are on your list, do you have some things that you really shouldn't be doing at all? Speaking of the delegation piece, you may have some things on your list that shouldn't be on your list. They belong on somebody else's list. So we're going to, again, stick on those top 3, create a plan now to take care of those top 3 items. Okay, let's pause the tape if you need to be able to take some time to make a plan about what you need to do on those top 3 priorities, and then press play when you're ready to come back. Okay, finally, let's go back to everything else that's on your list. Now, obviously, you can't just do those 3 things and maybe not do any of the rest, but this is a good time to actually look at those things that didn't make the top 3. Are those really realistic to do in this month or this quarter, wherever you've slotted them? Or does it make more sense for you to push this back? Is it something that really needs to go to next month or next quarter? As I mentioned just a few minutes ago, are there some things on this longer list that you shouldn't be doing at all, that you should delegate to somebody else, that it actually really belongs on somebody else's list? You could do it, but it's going to be more effective if you work on something else and somebody else does this task. All right, now I'm going to ask you to take a look at the list one more time. Is there anything that's on this list that you've been worrying about, that's been overwhelming to you as something that you need to do, that really you just don't need to do, that you can actually take off of your list altogether? Is there something on there that if it never gets done, does it really matter? Sometimes things get put on our list that we didn't even put on the list. Maybe it's somebody that's telling us we need to do it, or we're feeling like we need to do it, we feel we should do it, but maybe it doesn't really match with our priorities and where we're going. So what on your list maybe just needs to be crossed off altogether? So I hope this helps, this brain dump of being able to take this list and be able to reorganize it in your mind, and to be able to take those top 3 things, make a plan to work on those, and then really organize the rest and see if they need to stay on your to-do list, if they need to go to somebody else's to-do list, or go away altogether. So in this mindful moment, we've learned how to press pause and write it out.
Thank you for listening today. Take that one thing you learned and start making it a habit in your life now. And be sure to tune in next week for another thing you can do to improve your life and be the best version of yourself. Cheers to making this time for you each and every day. If you're enjoying this podcast, will you please take a moment to leave a positive review? This helps get the message out to impact as many people as possible. And I encourage you to subscribe to this podcast. That way the episodes will drop each time a new one comes out. Remember, you don't have to be overwhelmed and overcommitted. You have the power to take back control of your life.